I'm a university student, and university students have exams, but I have a different type of exam. You see, a game developing course is a bit different to your regular course. We have to make a game to simply qualify onto the next year. So here I am, making my own games and getting distracted, then all of a sudden realizing, wow, I have 7 days left to start. So I quickly thought of what I wanted to make. I wanted to make something along the lines of an endless runner, but I didn't have time for any of that procedural generation or any complex stuff. I had to think quick. Then I made a nice little game concept. So here you are as a player, and here are a bunch of buildings. These buildings contain dangerous enemies. You have to kill them. But be aware, there is a constant bolt of electricity chasing you. So your goal is to outrun this electricity and get as far as possible whilst also managing to kill these enemies. Okay, let's get started. So I started off with a player that moves very beautifully. Then I gave the player some animations before my eyes started hurting too much. I changed my scenery to something not as bland, but then I thought this looks terrible, so I changed my scenery again. So I added some buildings for the player to just run around in and get a first-hand feel of the map. After that, I added some more buildings, and the crab. This crab is useless at the moment, it just walks around, but at least you can kill it. Then I made a bit more of an advanced enemy that actually notices you and attacks you. You can also kill this enemy. Another enemy. This one is just a turret that stands in one place waiting to be destroyed pretty much. With day 1 out of the way, I worked on the player having a health bar and it actually being able to take damage instead of just being invincible the whole time. New enemy. I added a little drone that patrols from one point to another, just ignoring your existence. Then the big man. I added a little boss, if you want to call it that. It has a huge rapid slash attack and its own lightning ability, which strikes down at you constantly. And now the enemies have their own health bar. There are now some floating cars flying past just to add on to the background, make the scene look a little bit better. Anyways, it's time I made a new enemy. The octopus, the first attacking flying enemy. And another enemy. What this enemy does is... Okay, so what this enemy does is just jump at you consistently with no chill. This guy is very hard to dodge. The cooldowns of the player's abilities are now showcased here. Now I finally added a score system, so each enemy is now worth something when they die. I also realized the hitboxes of my attacks were a bit small, so I gave them a quick adjustment. Now it's time. I added the bolt of lightning, it's here and it's chasing you. So it's a new day, and with that it's time to show you the strongest enemy that I've made, and the final enemy, the Phoenix. This big guy has a whopping 12 health and his attacks are quick and very hard to dodge. Kill streaks. A lot of these type of games have them, so I ended up adding them to this game as well, and every kill streak gives you some sort of bonus score too, so keep that in mind. So there's a play button and enemies information tab where all the different enemy variants show their statistics. There's 2 pages because soon enough I will be adding a bigger and badder replica of all enemies I've shown you so far. I also threw in a nice little controls tab in there. And here we go, a leaderboard. You see, in a game like this, it wouldn't be an actual game if it didn't have a leaderboard. To add on to this, I also added 3 difficulties to choose from, and if you choose hard mode, then your stats will be saved to the leaderboard, if you're good enough. So we're getting towards the end, and it's time I start adding in some big things that change the gameplay. Like this, I added in a little system where the player can jump between the platforms. For my game to look like an actual game and just better, I gave the scene some lights to all the billboards, making the game look much more futuristic and just to see the vibe of the game overall. There is now a health orb to make all of the noobs playing the game survive a little bit longer. Then to add on to the game to make it much more strategic, I've added a shop where you can use your own score to buy items to make you more powerful. Now there was a lot of adjusting to this shop, but finally upon completion, in this shop you can buy health, resistance, and even essentially a new character where you become supersonic, you double damage, you slam down with force, you just become a big dog. So I did some playtesting and everything was pretty fun. The game was actually playable and I just kept wanting to play more and more. But eventually I got a bit too good at my own game and I got to the furthest point, and then I told myself the game can't casually end with some boring enemies and nothing else there. So I didn't let it. I got to working a bit more on the map and added some extra buildings just to build up what the final arena has to come. Then I made the final arena. If anyone plays this game and gets it, big respect. My time is coming to an end, so before I play tested the game again, I made a pause menu, although it was a bit bugged. I got that fixed, and finally I added a how to play button. And that's it. This whole week was a big grind, but the grind wasn't over. You see, after having a bunch of playtesters play my game, I was third on the leaderboard, and I wasn't happy about that. So I still needed to playtest my game. So I thought, I'm gonna beat my own game real quick and everyone on the leaderboard.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Oh my.
Okay, so it's time to lock in.
Oh yeah.
There we have it. Now all is good. If you think you can beat my high score, you can download the game for free in the description below.